And while every country has announced their squad for the World Cup, Pakistan has announced the squad for this tour of Ireland. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Pakistan way. Welcome to the shiny side. I'm your host, Faris, and we have with us from Bahrain, Imran. Imran, so how's it going?
Good, Faris. How are you?
I'm very well. Before we get into it, right? So, just for our viewers who may not be completely up to date on this, so there was a deadline by the ICC to announce the squad by the 1st of May. Sorry, to submit the squad to the ICC by the 1st of May. And while every other team announced it, Pakistan decided that they didn't have any reason to announce the squad. They submitted a squad, but they announced an 18-man squad for the tour of Ireland and England. And there's a deadline. The final deadline for the squad is actually 25th of May, where you can make changes up to then. So instead of announcing a squad and then making changes and looking embarrassed or whatever, they decided not to announce it. Nothing wrong with it technically, but it's very unusual per se. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think, like you said, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it is unusual, doesn't normally happen. But yeah, I don't think anything wrong with it. It makes it easier from their side to make changes, especially from the players' perspective. I don't know what the situation is, right? Even do the players even know whether they've been picked in the 15 or not? I would be surprised if they do.
Yeah, I mean they shouldn't, but I'd be surprised if you keep that kind of thing under wraps, though.
Yeah, but so it makes it easy for them, to make changes.
And we have this precedent from England's last, if you remember. So England announced the squad for the World Cup. Jason Roy was in it, and there was no Harry Brook. And then they played 4 T20s against, I think, New Zealand, where Harry Brook had a killer series, and Roy was out with a back spasm. And eventually, they left Roy out and took Harry Brook. So it became a bit of a PR issue for them. So I think teams are probably. I mean, I think this kind of decision avoids that situation. But moving on to, if you look at the squad itself, right? So we have, the squad is 18. I'm just going to read it out for the sake of everybody. So we have in the batting, we have Babar, Rizwan, Saim, Usman Khan, Fakhr Zaman, Azam Khan, Ifti, Irfan Niazi, and the one name it wasn't there in the last series was Salman Ali Agha. And then with the spinners, we have Shadab, Imad Wasim, and Abrar Ahmed, who were also there in the last series, but then we don't have Osama Mir, who's been left out. And then if you look at the quicks, we have Shaheen, Naseem, Muhammad Amir, Abbas Afridi, who were both there for the New Zealand series. Zaman Khan's been left out, and in comes Haris Rauf, who was, of course, injured, and lo and behold, Hassan Ali. So initial thoughts, when we were doing the preview shows for the squads, right? So the first time we did one, and we came up with the squad, and Umair Qazi made a comment on the show saying it's not possible to do a Pakistan selection show without talking about Fahim Ashraf, Hassan Ali, Sarfaraz, Shoaib Malik, Imad Wasim, Mohammad Amir. And now 3 of them have already made it to the squad. Only Shoaib Malik and Sarfaraz are left. So I'm hoping they won't somehow make it back. But
that's the first thing I thought of when I saw Hassan Ali's name. I was thinking back to Umair's comment on the video on the show that, all of those names are back.
So I guess the notable omissions for me, right or wrong, again, Mohammad Haris is still not in the 18. Wasim Jr. is not in the squad. Zaman Khan has been left out, and Osama Mir. Again, Osama and Zaman were both in the squad also for the New Zealand series. So I guess they'll probably be a tad disappointed not to make it here. How do you look at the 18? Any notable emotions for you? What do you make of the 4 guys who I mentioned who are no longer there?
So I think, I'm disappointed as well not to see Mohammad Haris, first of all. I think I know he didn't really have a great PSL, but I think there's definite potential. But on the other hand, I guess it's just that the top order is already so cramped that you would struggle to fit him in. There's still, to an extent, it makes sense that Mohammad Haris isn't there, because if you are playing Haris, he has to be within the top 4, and you already have at least 6 or 7 names within competing for the top 4 slot. So I think from that perspective, it does make sense that he's not there. Zaman and Mohammad Wasim Jr., I think it's bigger disappointment, right? Because I think there is definitely a lot of potential there with both of them, and they've both done well in the past, and they've shown potential. I don't know what the situation with Haris is and his injury is. Like, I'm not sure if he's going to play even the initial games against Ireland. So it might have been, worthwhile to keep at least one of those 2 in the squad for a bit and see how they play out while Haris gets back to full fitness. So I would have liked to see at least one of those in the squad.
Yeah, I mean, again, Wasim Jr.
And on the spin side, I guess then.
Sorry, go on. And just a comment on Wasim Jr. So
Well,
Wasim
let's
Jr.
talk
is
about
a
the
guy
pacers
who's
first.
been with the squad consistently. He was actually part of the first 11 most of the last T20 World Cup, did really well. So I think it's disappointing for him to have kind of gone out of the mix, right? And I get it. He may not be in your top 3 bowlers, but he surely is in your top 5 or 6 bowlers in the country right now. I mean, that's how I see it at least.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I think he should have been in the squad. Whether he plays in the first 11 with Naseem, Shaheen, Haris all fit, it's difficult, but at least he should be around the squad, at least in the 18, right? When you trim it down to 15, then you can see who you want to keep. But at least I would have wanted him to see him in the 18 for sure.
And speaking of Osama, right? So Osama, a lot of people were saying is I've gone leading wicket taker of the PSL. Only played a couple of games against New Zealand, did really well in one of them. But for me, I don't mind that selection because I feel like I think Abrar is probably just has that much more to offer. He's got that mystery spin element. He's a bit new. I think he's been bowled a lot better. Also, I think Osama's been tried and tested at the world stage, and he clearly hasn't come through. So in the chances he's got, so I feel like I'm happy. I'm fine with Osama being left out and being one of the reserves, if at all, and not being in the squad.
Yeah, I think again you have option in the spin department, right? So Shadab is obviously how many leg spinners are you going to be playing?
Yeah.
So and now that you've got Salman Ali into the mix as well, you have another spin option coming into the team. I have Imad Wasim as well. So with the all-rounder, Saim also is turning his arm when he's playing. So I think you have quite a bit of options in the spin department. So I don't mind this 11 being trimmed a spinner lighter and we going with the Abrar.
Yeah. And I think when come the World Cup, so what's going to happen now is we're going to play 3 T20s in Ireland, and then we have 4 T20s against England. But the T20s against England are 22nd and 25th, and the 25th is the deadline for the squads of submission. So apparently we will finalize a squad after the first England T20. So we have about 4 T20s to go. And I'm guessing we won't see anybody outside of this 18 in the squad. It'll probably be probably 15 from here, and I would imagine even the 3 reserves, traveling reserve, which we have, would also come from the same 18. So I would probably imagine Irfan Niazi, one of the quicks, probably Hassan Ali, and would sit out, and then the third one would either be. I mean, it depends on Haris Rove's fitness also, right? If Haris Rove's fitness is a question mark, then maybe you need 5 paces. Otherwise, I think in the West Indies, you'll never play 4 paces though.
Yeah.
So I feel like it'll probably be 3 at max. So I think you could even get away with having 4 quicks in your squad. So I think Hassan Ali will go out, and then maybe Abbas Afridi or Salman Ali Agha would be the other one on the chopping block. Unless we leave Usman Khan out, of course.
Yeah, I think I would like to see Usman Khan in the squad for sure for the World Cup. But yeah, obviously I agree with you that the 15 for the World Cup is almost certainly going to be a subset of the 18 that we have here. Personally, I mean, unless he plays a couple of games against Ireland, he does really well. I would be very surprised to see Hassan Ali in.
I think even if he does really
one.
well, I would imagine it would take more than that, probably an injury to somebody else for him to make it to the 15.
I mean, there's got to be some rationale or logic behind having him in the 18, right? I mean, is he there in the 18 just because he's in England, or is there something more to it, right? If there is, right? So that's why I'm thinking that maybe the selectors are thinking that they want experience and they want someone who has good experience. So they'll try him out, and if he does, like I said, if he does really well in the couple of games, I think he could be in contention. Otherwise, I don't see any reasons for him being part of the 18 otherwise.
I mean, the selectors' words, they said he's the backup for Haris Rove. So in case Haris is not fit in time, that's when they see Hassan Ali coming in because he's got experience. Whether I agree with the logic or not, that's what they're saying. So again, I guess it'll probably come down to Haris's fitness. So I think all the more reason for us to pray that Haris is fully fit very soon. But I think looking ahead to the series, the series starts on the 10th of May, which is in about 3 days, on Friday. So the 3 games is Friday, Sunday, and then Tuesday after. So there's a day in. I think so. If you look at the games that have happened in Ireland recently, so India has played 2 T20s last year and the year before. I think in one of the games last year, India made 185 batting first against Ireland, and they won by 30 runs. But another game 2 years ago on the same track, India bat first and made 225, and they only beat Ireland by 4 runs. So Ireland got 221, chasing 225. So I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that a lot of us have this preconceived notion that we're playing in Ireland in early May, so it'll be cloudy and seam friendly conditions, and there'll be low scores. But clearly, in this ground, in the very same month, we've had some high scoring games as well. So it could go either way. It depends on all the conditions, of course. But I think we should be. It could easily be a high scoring game, which probably will be good practice for Pakistan if it does go down that route.
Yeah, I think it will be good to see like high scoring game. And Ireland, we've seen them time and again. They have the knack of pulling off upsets, not just against us, but against a lot of other teams as well. So I don't think the series is by any means a walk in the park for us. It will be a tough series, and obviously a big opportunity for people to cement their places. So there will be probably quite a bit of pressure on the Pakistani players as well. I think it's going to be a tough series for us overall.
And I think added context is that in the World Cup, we are in a group of 5, which also includes Ireland. So we actually play Ireland in the World Cup as well. So it's actually, if anything, it's an opportunity for Ireland, unfortunately, to get a good look at us.
Yeah, true.
So I think it's a good opportunity for them to have a good look at us. So I think it's important that way. I think in terms of the 11s, we would like to go with. So I personally don't think we should be playing our best 11 for this series. There's a lot of cricket coming up. We have 4 T20s against England. I would probably try to give games to the guys who are question marks, who places are not really confirmed. And like, for example, I would not play Shaheen and Naseem in the same game. I would probably play one of the others, something like that. That's how I would probably approach it. Probably I would make Saim open in all the games. So I would probably go with Babar and Saim at the top in every single game, most likely, and then perhaps have Usman Khan get 2 games at 3. Maybe Rizwan gets 1. We know what Rizwan can do. And then Shadab at 5.
So
Azam at 6. Even Ifti, I don't mind if it sits up, because again, we know what Ifti can do. We know what his role is. So I would like to see the guys who are kind of on the fringe or new to the roles at least getting the game time. How do you see the series?
Yeah, I agree. So I think, like you said, definitely we should rotate the quicks around. If Haris is fit, I definitely would want to see him play and see, how he's shaping up, what his match fitness is like, etc. So I would definitely want to see Haris playing. Same goes for, I think Rizwan is coming off an injury. Azam's coming off an injury as well. So again, good to see how those guys are shaping up. So I think first of all, want to make sure that if these 3 guys who are coming back from injury, they're fit, they want to get some game time. The biggest question around the team at this point is our top 4, right? And what's not just who plays in the top 4, but who plays where. So we should be looking at this series and the England games after that to cement that. So I definitely want to see Saim. Like
would you say
I definitely want to see Saim continue opening.
Because the way I see it, I feel like our top 2 are set, but 3, 4, 5 is a very open.
I mean, so Fakhar is in the mix as well, right? So what's our ideal top 4? I don't think we're 100% clear, not just on who the top 4 is, but who bats where, right? There's still talks around, do you want to bring the Babar and Rizwan combination back? Do you continue with Babar and Saim? Do you bring Usman Khan in the top 4? Do you bring Fakhar in the top 4? There is a bit of a question mark between. So we know it's going between Babar, Saim, Rizwan, Fakhar, and Usman Khan. But which of these 4 and where they slot in, I think it's still up for some discussion.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I would say probably Usman. I would say the guys whose spots are probably not certain and exactly where they bat are Usman, Rizwan, and Fakhar. That's probably how it's playing out right now, right? Yeah. So I think the others, the ones who come before, and the way I see it, I mean, if tomorrow was the first big game, my top order would be Babar, Saim, have Rizwan at 3, Fakhar at 4, and then Shadab at 5, Azam at 6, and Ifti at 7. And if we lose Babar in the power play, that's when Rizwan comes in. But if we lose Saim, then I would send Fakhar in ahead. And if we lose the first wicket after the first power play, I would not send Rizwan in at all, actually. That's how I would play. But I'm hoping they will end up at a similar arrangement by the end of it. But in terms of spin, there's a point of view that we shouldn't play Abrar too much because he's a mystery spinner and we should save him for the actual Ireland game, as opposed to watch these guys let him get used to him. What do you make of that?
I don't buy too much into that theory, honestly. Nowadays there's so much of video footage of every bowler who's going around, and any team who goes into Ireland or whoever else maybe you can be sure they would have watched footage of him bowling in the PSL, they would have watched footage of him bowling in the international games. So another 4 overs of look at him, or even if he plays 2 games, I don't think it's going to make a significant difference in the game. I would rather make sure that he's in rhythm. He's match fit. He's he's fit for the game. So I wouldn't be concerned about risking him or risking Ireland getting a look at him at all.
Okay, good stuff. Before we finish, Imran, what's your prediction for this series?
I think 2-1 Pakistan.
Yeah, same. I have a sneaky feeling Ireland will nip a game off us.
Yeah.
I'd rather they take a game off us
We
in
will
this
drop a
series
game.
than in the World
I
Cup.
think. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay, good stuff, Imran. Thank you for being
Sure.
on.
Yeah.
And for those of you watching, we'll be back after the Ireland series, I guess, and have a look at how we did, and then preview again the England series, but also talk about the squad that will be coming up at that time. So we'll be back then. In the meantime, stay tuned to the shiny side.